So here the growth is associated with movement. Only if the growth is there, then only movement will be there. If we stop the growth of the seed, if we stop the seed from germinating, then there will be no growth and no movement. So this is known as the movement of this plant. See, plants do not have any specific nervous tissue or muscular tissue for the movement. So they only move by the chemical means. Hormones help here. So tropic movement which occur in a particular direction in relation to the stimulus are known as the tropical movement. The stimulus can be light, water or touch. Okay, so tropical movements means movements which occur in a particular direction in relation to the stimulus. The stimulus can be light, air, water or even touch. So these tropical movements happen as a result. These tropical movements happen as a result of growth of the plant part in a particular direction. So the plant's part grow in a particular direction, and these movements result in a tropical movement of the plant. Movement of the plant part in any particular direction is nothing but a tropical movement. So the types of tropical movement are four: geotropic movement, phototropic movement, hydrotropic movement and thingotropic movement. So geotropic movement means the movement of the plant towards the side of gravity. So earth has gravitational pull, right? So in a plant the roots are always moving towards the earth's gravity, inside of the earth's surface. So roots are said to be having positive geotropic movement, whereas the stems, the shoots are moving away from the surface of the earth towards the upside. They are said to be negatively geotropic. So that is the geotropic movement, the movement of the plants in response to the earth's gravity. Roots move inside the earth's surface due to gravitational pull. Roots are said to be positively geotropic. Stems, shoots and leaves move away from the soil towards the upside. So stems and shoots, leaves are said to be negatively geotropic. Next movement is phototropic movement. Movement in response to the light. Photo means light. So movement in response to the light is said to be phototropic movement. So here in phototropic movement, the shoots, the stems, the leaves always move to the source of light. So these stems are said to be positively phototropic. So suppose if we take a dark cardboard box and put a potted plant in it, and if we put a small hole from where the sunlight passes to the plant, then that portion of the plant which is facing towards the sun will start growing in the direction of the sunlight and will show a bend like this. So this part of the plant is facing the hole through which sunlight is coming, and so it moves towards the bend, starts bending towards the sun, starts bending towards the source of the light. So that is, it is showing phototropic movement in response to the light. And then the other part of the plant which is in the shady side, will receive auxins. Auxins are plant hormones. Due to the secretion of the auxin and the movement of auxin, there is a lot of cell division here, and this part of the plant grows longer. So now understood, right? You have put a potted plant in a cardboard box which is totally covered. From one part of the cardboard box you have put a hole and passed the sunlight. So the part of the plant which is facing towards the sunlight will start growth and show the growth towards bending towards the sunlight, and the other part of the plant which is on the shady side, on that part there will be more of secretion of the auxins. Auxins initiate the cell division, cell growth, and then this part of the plant grows longer and this part of the plant bend towards the sunlight. That is the phototropic movement. Next we have hydrotropic movement. Whenever there is a plant, the roots will always be in the soil, right? So these roots will keep growing. These roots will always grow towards the direction of more water. So wherever in the soil there is more water, the roots start growing towards that side. That is hydrotropic movement. So if there is a potted plant, the roots will always grow towards the side of more water, and then stems will always grow up. So that is the hydrotropic movement. Next we have thingotropic movement. Thingotropic movement is movement due to the response of touch. So if there is any movement due to the response, due to the touch, then it is known as the thingotropic movement. So here for example, if we take mimosa plant, even if we touch any part of the leaf, the total leaf will start with tooling, it will close. All the leaf, total leaf will start closing itself. So that is the response to the touch. Okay, thingotropic movement is response to the touch. There is a whole mimosa family has total mimosa family plants are very sensitive to touch. One example of the mimosa family is touch me not plant. Not only touch me not plant, if we touch any plant of the mimosa family, it is very sensitive to touch. So even if we touch any part of the leaf, the total leaf will tool and close like this. So why does this happen and how is this closing? Because their water content in the leaf will become less. That is the reason leaves will start closing itself. The reason for withering, closing of the leaves whenever you touch any plant of the mimosa family is whenever we touch the plant will detect the touch and lose its water, and then the cells close and the leaves close. That is the response to the touch. Here also in this closing of the leaf there is hormones role playing. Okay, so the fourth type of movement is thingotropic movement. This is the type of movement which occurs due to response to the touch. For example, let's see the tendrils. Tendrils means plants which grow as climbers. They have spring-like structures, coil-like structures which take support on the other plant and grow. So these tendrils grow as coils on the other plants because of the presence of the hormone called auxin. So these tendrils are present in the climber plants. These climber plants grow as taking support on other plants. So this thingotropic movement is nothing but movement in response to the touch. So as the climber plant will go and touch the host plant, due to this touch there will be movement, coil formation of the tendrils. And these tendrils will form a coil and grow, take the support of the host plant and then grow on the host plant. So these tendrils have a different rate of cell division and different growth. So these tendrils which grow as a coil on a support structure, the cell division and growth in the tendrils is caused by a hormone called auxin. So that is thingotropic movement. Occurs in the climbers plants. Climbers have specialized structures called tendrils which grow as a coil on a support on a host plant, and this cell division in the tendrils is due to a secretion of a hormone called auxin, and this thingotropic movement is a movement as a response to the touch. So climber plants go and touch the host plants, develop tendril or coil-like structures around them and take the support of the host plant and then grow. So tendrils movement or cell division of the tendrils is initiated by a hormone called auxins. So that is about the thingotropic movement. Next we have something called nastic movement. Movements which do not depend on the direction from stimulus acts are known as the nasty movements. Movements which do not depend on the direction of the stimulus act. So direction of the stimulus act independent movements are known as the nasty movement. Nasty movements are seen in the mimosa plants family. Touch me not plants are examples of the mimosa group, but all plants which come under the family mimosa are sensitive to touch. So irrespective of the direction, the plants, if we suppose there is a leaf of the touch me not plant, in any direction if you touch that leaf, it will show movement, it will close its leaf. Flaccid movement will be there, okay? The shells will lose the water and then close its leaves. So that is what it is. Nasty movement is seen in mimosa family. Movements which do not depend on direction from the stimulus act. So if you touch the total leaf from any place, from the tip, from the base or from the edge of the leaf, from the base of the leaf, anywhere if you touch the touch me not chewy plant, the total leaf will close. So irrespective of the direction of the touch, the total leaf is showing the movement. So that is what is nastic movements. So if you touch any part of the leaf, the total leaf will close. How is the leaf closing? Why is this closing happening? Because the leaves lose water and then close, they shrink. So that is what is nastic movement. So they are always plant hormones. Examples of plant hormones are auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, which promote the growth of the plant in a particular direction. A plant grows in a particular direction because of the presence of auxin, gibberellin and cytokinin. These are the plant hormones which are responsible for movement and growth. So all these movements are cytokinins initiate the cell division process. So all these three hormones promote the growth, whereas there are also hormones which inhibit the growth. That hormone is known as the abscisic acid. Secretion of abscisic acid leads to the drying of the leaves. See, on a plant, after a period of some years, the green leaves turn yellow, get dry and fall off. Abscisic acid is responsible for that, the wilting of the leaves, the drying of the leaves. So abscisic acid inhibits the growth of the plant in a particular direction and in a particular plant. So this is about the plant hormones. Now let's learn about hormones in animals. Okay. See, for example, a squirrel is there. If squirrel is getting any enemy which is going to eat the squirrel, then there will be two situations. Either the squirrel has to fight with the enemy, or otherwise the squirrel has to run away from the situation. So what happens here? The brain sends the messages to the squirrel. So nerve impulse comes to the squirrel. So only the nerve impulse is not enough, right? Some chemical reaction should also happen. Then only the squirrel will decide what to do. So this chemical reaction will be initiated with the help of secretion of hormone called adrenaline. So in the body of the squirrel, there will be an adrenal gland that will send the hormone called adrenaline. It is called the fight and flight hormone of the body. So then these hormones are secreted to the muscles, and then heart rate is increased, oxygen demand for the body is increased, breathing rate is increased. Okay, these hormones are directly secreted into the bloodstream, and then the squirrel decides what to do, and then thereby the body acts that way. So like that, there are many hormones which are secreted in the body of the animals. Endocrine glands means ductless glands. Ductless glands are known as the endocrine glands. Endocrine glands secrete hormones. These hormones are made up of proteins, and there are different endocrine glands in different parts of the body which secrete hormones, and these hormones are made up of proteins. So these, see, nerves cannot always reach at each nook and corner of the body. Nerves cannot reach at every nook and corner of the body. So that is the reason hormones are secreted. They reach at every nook and corner of the body and do the process. So the nervous system's control and coordination is associated with the secretion of hormones of these endocrine glands. Okay, now let's see different types of endocrine glands and what are the functions they perform in our body. So we have a pineal gland in our brain, on the base of the brain. Then we have pituitary gland on the floor of the brain. We also have a hypothalamus. All these are endocrine glands. Then we have a thyroid gland in the neck, which is a butterfly shaped gland. There are parathyroid glands, and below the thyroid gland there is thymus. Then over the kidneys we have adrenal gland. Then we have pancreas also. Then in the males we have testis. Then in the females we have ovaries. So these are the different glands of the body. So you know adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is situated above the kidneys. Both in males, this is the male body, this is the female body. So adrenal glands are present over the kidneys, and they are secrete a hormone known as adrenaline. Adrenaline hormone is known as the fight and flight hormone of the body, and this body controls all the anger and all the emotions of the body. So suddenly if you get the anger, or if you feel the urge of fighting with somebody, so all these things are controlled by the secretion of adrenaline. All the endocrine glands secrete hormones, right? These hormones directly go and mix up with the bloodstream. That is an exclusive feature of these endocrine glands. All the hormones secreted by the endocrine glands go and mix directly with the bloodstream. So the adrenaline hormone secreted by the adrenal gland will directly go and mix with the bloodstream, and then we get a feeling of anger, fighting like that. See, suppose if two hens are fighting, many places we see cock fights happening, right? So there also adrenal gland only plays the role. Adrenal gland releases the hormone adrenaline into the bloodstream directly, and then it acts on the body, and then we get the emotion of anger and fight. So that is about the adrenal gland. Then we have pancreas. Pancreas are also situated near the kidneys. Pancreas secretes a hormone called insulin, which maintains the glucose levels in the body. or if the pancreas are not able to produce the insulin, then comes a disease called diabetes or sugar that we commonly have in India, right? Many of our parents or grandparents will have will have diabetes disease. Then what they do? They take tablets, or sometimes they also give injections in their body, that is insulin injections. So diabetes will be of two types. One is insulin dependent diabetes and one is non-insulin dependent diabetes. So if it is a non-insulin dependent diabetes, then the patients will depend on tablets for the production of insulin. Then if it is insulin dependent diabetes, then they directly inject insulin injections into the blood. So malfunctioning of the pancreas will lead to a disease called diabetes. Pancreas will not be able to secrete insulin properly or will not be completely able to make the insulin. In the pancreas we have islets of Langerhans that help in secretion of the insulin hormone. Then moving on to male body, in the male reproductive system there is a endocrine gland called testis. Testis produces the male gametes or sperms. Testis secretes the hormone testosterone. So testosterone has two functions: development of secondary sexual characters in the male at the time of puberty, development of secondary sexual characters in the male body at the time of adolescence or puberty, and one more function is secretion of the testosterone hormone, which helps in the reproduction process and production of sperms. Then in the female reproductive system, in the female body, the endocrine gland is ovary. Ovary secretes estrogen. Estrogen is responsible for the reproduction process, and estrogen is also responsible for the development of secondary sexual characters in the female's body at the time of onset of puberty. Okay, and ovary also releases the eggs. Every month ovary releases one egg. So if this egg is fertilized, it will develop into a zygote and a baby. So next there is thymus. So what is the function of thymus? So at the onset of puberty, thymus secretes humoral factors, or something hormone known as humoral factors. It is present both in males as well as in females. Thymus secretes humoral factors which are secreted at the time of onset of puberty, and this thymus also ensures that good immunity is developed in the body at the time of adolescence. So two functions: it ensures the development of proper immunity, and humoral factors are secreted at the time of onset of puberty. So humoral factors is also immunity. It ensures that there is a proper immunity built in the body. Next we have got thyroid gland. Thyroid gland are present both in the males and females. So we always hear that when we buy salt, we get iodized salt with iodine. So why is this iodine important? So thyroid gland needs iodine because thyroid gland is responsible for the metabolism of the general metabolism of the body. And if there is no iodine, then thyroid gland will not be able to secrete its hormone known as thyroxine, T3, T4, thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroxine. All these hormones are secreted by the thyroid gland. And for secretion of all these, production of all these hormones, iodine is necessary. So this iodine is sourced from the salt we eat. And the function of thyroid gland is the general metabolism of the body. Sometimes we see the neck will be swollen of some people. That condition is known as goiter, G-O-I-T-R-E, goiter. The neck will be swollen, that means thyroid gland will be swollen. That is the disease of the thyroid gland, goiter. Improper secretions of the thyroid gland will lead to two types of disease, either hyperthyroidism or hypo